This oversized rocket launcher looks like it could take down a tank or your shoulder. Seriously, if you're not careful, this thing's backblast will turn you into a human barbecue before you even pull the trigger. It's the Panzerschreck, the Wehrmacht's answer to every Allied Sherman rolling up like it's auditioning for a demolition derby. But how did it evolve from its scrappy little sibling, the Panzerfaust? Let's talk about it, because if the Panzerfaust was the disposable party favor of anti-tank warfare, the Panzerschreck was the reusable family heirloom that actually packed a punch. All right, quick rewind to set the scene, because you can't talk Panzerschreck without circling back to the chaos of World War II. It's 1942, and the Germans are knee-deep in the Eastern Front mud, watching T-34 seconds and KV-1 second plow through their lines like they're made of cardboard. Early war, the Wehrmacht had some anti-tank tricks, the PaK-38 guns, the Stark-3 assault guns, but as the Soviets rolled out thicker armor, those started bouncing rounds like ping-pong balls. And don't get me started on the Western Allies. By mid-1942, they're shipping Shermans to everyone who could say Lend-Lease. Enter the Americans with their shiny new bazooka, the M1 rocket launcher. The Germans captured a bunch during the North African campaign Operation Torch, November 42, and went, ooh, shiny. We want one. But the bazooka had issues, short range, weak warhead against late war tanks, and that pesky backblast that could singe your eyebrows off. So the Wehrmacht's engineers at the Waffenamt got to work. They reverse engineered the bazooka, but supersized it, bumping the caliber from 60 millimeters to a beastly 88 millimeters for more oomph. Development was lightning fast, a true child of war, as one historian called it, from concept to prototype, just months. By August 1943, the first Panzerschreck, officially the Raketenpanzerbüchse 54, or RPzB 54, was hitting the front lines. That's right, it beat the Panzerfaust into combat by a few months. The Panzerfaust, remember, that was the cheap one-and-done tube you could hand to a grandma on the Volkssturm and say, go get 'em. But the Panzerschreck, this was for the pros, the Panzergrenadiers and infantry squads who needed something reusable. Let's geek out on the specs, because that's where the Panzerschreck really shines or explodes, depending on your luck. Picture this, a steel tube about 1.64 meters long, weighing around 9.25 kilograms unloaded. That's like lugging a medium-sized dog on your shoulder. It fires the RPzB.Gr, 4,322 rocket, a shape-charged warhead that punches through up to 210 millimeters of armor at 100 meters. Effective range? 150 to 200 meters for point targets. Way better than the Panzerfaust's pokey 30 to 60 meters. And unlike its disposable cousin, you could reload it with up to 5 rockets per tube before swapping out. Now, the Big Brother vibe. How does it stack up against the Panzerfaust? The Faust was a recoilless gun, basically a mini bazooka without the rocket motor, propelled by a booster charge. Super simple, point, squeeze the pedal trigger, and boom, no backblast danger to the shooter, which made it perfect for close quarters ambushes in urban hellholes like Berlin 45. But range was its Achilles heel. You'd have to get suicidal close to a tank to hit it reliably. Production-wise, it was a beast, over 6 million made by war's end, dirt cheap at about 20 Reichsmarks a pop, churned out by forced labor in factories like Hugo Schneider AG. The Panzerschreck, though, more sophisticated. It was a true rocket launcher with a Venturi tube to direct the backblast away, though early models didn't have the protective shield, leading to some hilariously gruesome operator errors. Imagine firing it in a foxhole. Whoosh! And your buddy behind you is suddenly missing his pants and dignity. By late 43, they added a blast shield, a metal cone on the back that cut injuries by 90%. Reload time, about 10 to 15 seconds per shot, needing a 2-man team, loader and gunner. Cost? Around 350 Reichsmarks and only about 289,000 produced. Still impressive, but not the Faust assembly line insanity. Compared to the bazooka it copied, the Panzerschreck was the glow-up. Bazooka rockets topped out at 100 millimeters penetration. This bad boy doubled that. Range doubled too. Accuracy, better sights, and stability meant fewer misses. But it wasn't perfect. Wind could veer the rocket, and in mud or snow, the tube clogged like a bad drain. Fun fact, the name Panzerschreck means tank terror, but GIs nicknamed it Stovepipe because it looked like a rusty chimney. And get this, early test showed it could knock out a Sherman from 200 meters, but if you missed, that rocket kept flying, sometimes landing in your own lines. Oof. See the wooden stock and pistol grip? Ergonomic for the era, but try aiming this in a trench, your arms scream after 30 seconds. Compared to the Faust sleek tube, it's bulkier, but that extra length gave it the reach. In combat, squads mixed them, Panzerschreck for standoff shots, Faust for desperate house-to-house brawls. So, how did this bigger brother perform in the meat grinder? Debuted on the Eastern Front in 43, where it shredded T-34s like tin cans. By Normandy 44, it was a nightmare for GI Shermans, feared it more than the 88 flak guns. Tactics evolved, teams in staggered positions 100 to 150 meters apart to cover flanks and avoid friendly backblast. One report from the Rhineland 45. A single Panzerschreck squad ambushed a column, bagging 3 tanks before the crew even knew what hit them. But war's a cruel teacher. Early backblast woes led to Schreck burns third-degree singes that sidelined more operators than enemy fire. Solution? That shield plus training vids showing don't fire in enclosed spaces, dummy. Casualties were high overall U-boat levels, but for land pounders. And production bottlenecks? Allied bombing hammered factories, so by 45 it was rationed to elite units. Niche fact time. The Panzerschreck's legacy? It directly inspired the Soviet RPG. 2 inches the 50 seconds bigger tube, better warhead, still copying German homework. Over 14,000 confirmed kills across both weapons, but the Schreck's reusability made it the squad's MVP. Ugly? Yeah, like a stovepipe with anger issues. But functional? Absolutely. If the Panzerfaust was the everyman's equalizer, this was the specialist's scalpel. Whew, even thinking about carrying this makes my arms hurt. Personally, I'd take the Faust for its simplicity, less chance of turning myself into jerky. So, there you have it. The Panzerschreck, the bigger, badder evolution of the Panzerfaust that turned desperate defenses into tank-killing machines. From bazooka ripoff to RPG Godfather, it proved you don't need battleships to win the armor war, just a tube, some rockets, and a prayer for no wind. What do you think? Would you rather hump the reusable Panzerschreck through the mud, or grab a disposable Faust and hope for the best? Drop your takes in the comments. I love hearing your hot takes on World War II gear. Stay historical, stay safe, and remember, in war, bigger isn't always better, unless it's your backblast shield.